Hey, welcome to another episode of Disney Dust. It's DisneyDwayne here, coming to you from my hotel room in South Hampton, where I caught Bedknobs and Broomsticks. You can see this is a little bit of a vinyl-like looking souvenir program, and there are some pretty beautiful stills in here of the show, and just marvelous. I think the way they had some scene changes, and the way it just moved really, really fast. And at the start of the show, especially, you can see lots of little just frames and little set pieces, or maybe even props to make suggestions of their environment and what they were doing. So really genius. And of course, the bed flies. We all want to know, right? It definitely flies, and it kept me really guessing how the bed was able to fly, because at some points they pass things over the bed or under the bed and beside the bed, and it seems like strings couldn't possibly have allowed the bed to fly. Also, the broom flew, and the same thing. I couldn't figure out how the broom was flying. But okay, so into the review, I just want to say that I'll be reviewing the movie as well, which was released in 1971, and the musical in comparison, and in terms of also what songs were in the musical versus in the movie. And of course, there were a lot of cut songs. So this is going to be a really casual chat, because I didn't really plan what to say properly. This is actually the first time I'm just rattling off. So the most famous song, for me at least, I really like, is A Step in the Right Direction, which was not in the movie, and it was definitely in the musical and in the right place where it should have been in the movie, and it's so beautiful to see. That's the part where Eglantine Price, played by Angela Lansbury in the movie, is trying to get on her broom and get it to work. They also put Nobody's Problems into the musical, and this is when Professor Emilius Brown leaves the company of the children and Eglantine herself, which is very sad. However, I have to say that there was a twist to the musical version, which was not in the movie, and this twist is that the imaginary witch powers, or rather the witch powers, were imaginary, and the children actually just sort of stepped off into a parallel dimension where they sort of previewed what the future possibly held for them, and then went back to where they started off before they met Miss Eglantine Price, and met her once again. And in the re-meet, she is actually very much more normal than how she was portrayed in the movie, and of course at the start of the musical, which led them to the whole journey. So it almost suggests that what they experienced was not true, which is not at all what the movie was about. So that was really interesting to me. And in fact, I actually connected. The other problem for me was with the Miss Eglantine Price character, was that I didn't really connect with her, because Angela Lansbury played her very goofy and vulnerable and comedic, and I felt maybe it was in the writing, or maybe it was in the actress who portrayed her, that I missed some of that vulnerability. Like I wanted to connect with her a little bit more. Perhaps they could have fleshed out her vulnerability by exploring more of the relationship with the children at the beginning also. It came out definitely more at the end, but I also felt like her dressing for this character in general was a little too prim and proper. And I know they're trying to, now that on hindsight, I know that she was the magical character that they met versus the normal one that they meet later on, which the movie didn't have again. They wanted to distinguish the two, but in spending more time with this magical character, it really, really didn't suit what I believe is the correct way to portray her, which is how Angela Lansbury portrayed her. So, there were some issues there. I definitely connected with her character when she came on and she wasn't magical. So I felt so much more likable, so much more honest. So that was an issue, but it can go either way, whether or not it's really the children's imagination or not. I think both work. Okay, let's get back to some songs that were cut. Right, Solid Citizen is another song, a comedic number for Angela to distract the king during the soccer game. That didn't make it into the film. It didn't make it into the musical either. And the fundamental elements didn't make it into the film, but it was in the musical. It's where Eglantine confessed her shortcomings. It's not in the musical either. Okay, so this is the fundamental elements didn't make either the musical or the film. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you. Overall, there was one boy I remember in the film. I think it was the youngest one who was the most resistant to Eglantine, and that created some great tension, which wasn't there in the musical. They were all quite easygoing, and so the threat wasn't as threatening when that song negotiation. The negotiation song came up. So that was interesting why they didn't choose to have them, that one boy resist her so much. The lead singer, I mean, aside from, the character not being in the right place for me, she was definitely a brilliant singer, definitely just very skilled. Her voice is just amazing. What else? Okay, so because it was a dream at the end of it, unlike the film, we don't get to see in the musical her admission that she knew she would not be a good enough witch from the dragon's poisoned liver. What did I write here? Not be a good witch from the dragon's poisoned liver. Oh yeah, when she was trying to work with the dragon's poisoned liver and it kind of failed, I think. So I love the fact that she was vegetarian in the film, but not as obvious in the musical. And Portobello Road, really great in the film. It featured so many different cultures, celebrating them. I think it was ahead of its time then. It was a shortened version, definitely, in the musical, and definitely not featuring cultures at all. But they had to do that because the film had more time to sort of be spontaneous and sort of explore randomness. And then, although they do say things in the film, I found a little problematic because they said things about women, like sort of dissing them a little bit. But then again, the women do a lot of the work in this story in the film more than the men. But the men do diss the women a little bit. All in all, it was amazing. It has a lot of magical sort of effects, things from the magician world that I really appreciated and couldn't figure out. So all in all, I think this was such a nice little production. It's by Cameron Mackintosh, who also produced Mary Poppins, and in the same vein, this has a history with Mary Poppins. It was supposed to be made first, or rather, Mary Poppins was supposed to be made first, but because P.L. Travers wasn't giving up her rights, so they found this to do, and then when P.L. Travers, as we know, gave up her rights to Disney to do Mary Poppins, this was put on hold indefinitely. So this was the kind of same magical, sort of storyline that they were trying to do, and so it's in many ways similar, although the stories are quite different. But I'm so glad that it's finally a stage version and we get to see it, though not on Broadway or the West End yet. I wonder why that is, but it's such a proper production and you must catch it. It's just amazing. I hope it does go to Broadway or the West End. For those of you who watched it, let me know what you think. If you haven't, well, yeah. I just hope that you'll be able to catch it at some point, or there's some recordings of it somewhere. Okay, this is it from me. Catch you the next time in the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe and also follow the channel and tell your friends about it. Take care. Bye.